Emily Carter's finger tightened on the trigger. The 7.62 millimeter round punched through desert air, splitting heat shimmer at 800 meters. Through the scope, the high-value target's head snapped back. Clean kill. Then she heard it. Not human. A bark, low, guttural, trained. Her radio crackled. Jack Donovan's voice cut through static. "They brought dogs. Wind's turning. You're compromised." The scope trembled. Not her hands. The ground beneath her hide. Something was scraping rock below the outcrop. Emily's breath stopped. She wasn't a sniper anymore. She was a scent. The high desert of eastern Syria held its breath at 0547 hours. Emily Carter lay motionless in her sniper hide, a depression of rock and shadow carved into the ridgeline overlooking the Euphrates Valley. She'd been there for 9 hours. 9 hours without movement, without sound, without leaving evidence she'd ever existed. That was the art. She was 28 and had learned patience before marksmanship. Her instructors at Fort Benning called it the gift, the ability to become geology. While other shooters fidgeted or adjusted or breathed too loud, Emily simply stopped being human. Her heartbeat slowed. Her thoughts crystallized into a single point of focus. The M110 semi-automatic sniper system lay across the bipod before her, its suppressor kissed by the first amber light of dawn. She'd named it nothing. Soldiers who named their weapons got attached. Attachment created hesitation. Through the Schmidt and Bender scope, the compound below sharpened into focus. 12 structures, clay walls, corrugated metal roofs that would sing like bells when the sun reached full strength. She'd counted 47 individuals in the past 6 hours. Militants, smugglers, the kind of men who moved weapons across borders and vanished into the emptiness. Her target hadn't shown yet. Echo 2, this is Overwatch Actual. Sit rep. The voice belonged to Jack Donovan, 62 years old and operating from a forward observation post 7 clicks northwest. He'd been her spotter on 3 deployments. Now he ran comms while younger bodies did the crawling. Emily keyed her throat mic twice. All clear. Waiting. Copy. You've got maybe 90 minutes before thermals shift. After that, you're a heat signature. She knew. The desert was a clock. It measured everything in temperature gradients and shadow angles. Right now she was cool stone. By 0800, she'd be a glowing target. The compound gate opened. A man emerged, tall, late 40s, gray threaded through his beard. He wore civilian clothes, but moved like military, shoulders back, head scanning, never standing still in doorways. Intel had named him Al-Nasser, a bomb maker, a teacher of violence, the kind of target that didn't get trials. Emily's breathing shallowed to nothing. Al-Nasser walked to the center of the courtyard. He stopped, pulled out a satellite phone. Range, 812 meters. Wind, 3 knots from the east. Humidity negligible. Barometric pressure stable. Her finger moved to the trigger. The world collapsed into the reticle. But something was wrong. Al-Nasser stood too still, too exposed. Men like him survived by being ghosts. They didn't take phone calls in open courtyards at dawn. "Jack," she whispered, "he's presenting." Static. Then, "Say again?" "He's giving me the shot. Too easy." "Maybe he's stupid." "He's not." Through the scope, she watched Al-Nasser tilt his head skyward, like he was listening, or waiting. Her instincts screamed. But orders were orders. High-value target, time-sensitive. The mission parameters didn't include gut feelings. Emily exhaled half a breath and held the rest. The trigger broke clean. The bullet took 1.2 seconds to travel 812 meters. Emily watched through the scope as physics made its argument. Al-Nasser's skull deformed, his body folded. The satellite phone clattered to dust. No one in the compound moved. That was wrong too. Gunfire should trigger chaos, shouts, scrambling, return fire. Instead, the 47 individuals she'd counted simply melted into structures. Disciplined, rehearsed, like they'd been waiting for the shot. Confirmed kill, Emily reported. But Jack, they're not reacting right. Exfil in 30, pack your kit. She didn't move. Couldn't. The compound below had gone silent. Not the silence of shock, the silence of anticipation. A door opened on the eastern structure. A man stepped out, older, 60s. He wore a tan tactical vest and carried no weapon. He walked directly to Al Nasser's body, crouched, and checked the wound. Then he stood and looked north. Directly at Emily's ridgeline. He couldn't see her. Impossible. She was shadow and stone, 800 meters away, downwind. But he looked and smiled. Then he raised his right hand and made a gesture, a circular motion, like a handler calling a dog. Jack, we've got a problem. Talk to me. Someone down there just signaled, I think. The sound hit her before the words formed. Low, resonant. Not a bark, but a baying. The sound hunting dogs make when they've caught scent. It came from below the ridgeline, from her 6 o'clock. Emily's heart rate spiked. She turned her head slowly, fighting the urge to move fast. Movement drew eyes. But the sound came again, closer, maybe 200 meters downslope. They brought dogs, Jack said, his voice tight. Satellite just picked up thermals, 4 contacts, canine profiles, moving up the western approach. Emily's mouth went dry. Winds shifting, Jack continued. Coming around to the southeast. You're about to be upwind. She understood immediately. The shot had been bait. Al Nasser had presented himself to draw her fire, to mark her position, to give the dogs a direction. And now the wind was turning traitor. I need exfil now, Emily said. 30 minutes minimum. Can you move? She could, but the question wasn't about distance. It was about scent. She'd been in this hide for 9 hours. Her sweat had soaked into rock. Her breath had condensed in crevices. She'd urinated twice into a bottle, but micro droplets carried on boots, on fabric, on skin. The dogs would have a trail. Moving, she said. Emily broke down the M110 with train speed. 40 seconds. The rifle collapsed into her pack. Ghillie netting rolled tight. Spent casing recovered. She left nothing, no trash, no fabric threads, no evidence. But she left scent. That was the thing about dogs. You couldn't hide from them with discipline or camouflage. They didn't hunt what they saw. They hunted what they smelled. And Emily had been bleeding the whole time. Invisible molecules of sweat and skin and oil, drifting on air currents she couldn't control. She crawled backward from the hide, staying low on the ridge's reverse slope. The baying came again, closer, maybe 150 meters now. Her radio popped. Jack's voice strained. Echo 2, I'm tracking 4 K9 signatures and 8 human contacts. They're spreading into a search pattern. You've got maybe 10 minutes before they crest your position. 10 minutes. Emily moved. The terrain was a maze of limestone ridges and shale outcrops, carved by millennia of wind into knife-edge formations. Emily navigated by memory and desperation. Her boots found purchase on rock that would hold no footprints. She avoided vegetation. Leaves and branches held scent like sponges. But it didn't matter. The wind was enemy now. It blew from her back, carrying her scent downslope directly toward the dogs. She could run all day and still leave a highway of molecules for them to follow. Jack, I need options. Static. Then, there's a wadi system 300 meters northeast, deep enough to break line of sight. If you can reach it before they visual you. They don't need to see me. I know. The baying changed pitch, excited, urgent. They'd hit her scent trail from the hide. Emily risked a glance back. Nothing visible yet, but she could hear them now. Not just the dogs, but handlers shouting commands in Arabic. Close, Too close. She reached a drop-off, 4 meters down to a scree field. No time for careful descent. She jumped. The impact jarred her spine. Loose rock shifted beneath her boots. She stumbled, caught herself, kept moving. The scree scattered downslope, clattering like bells. Mistake. Sound carried in the desert. The shouting intensified behind her. "They've got visual," Jack said. "Two handlers just crested the ridge. You're marked." Emily ran. The wadi opened before her, a dry riverbed carved deep into limestone. She slid down the embankment, hit the bottom hard, and sprinted northeast. The wadi twisted through the terrain like a serpent. Walls rose 6 meters on either side. Shadows pooled in the curves. She could run here unseen, but not unsmelled. The baying echoed through the wadi now, bouncing off stone walls. Impossible to tell direction. They could be behind her, or ahead, or flanking. Emily's training screamed at her, never run blind into a confined space. But staying in the open meant getting run down by dogs. She chose the wadi. 200 meters into the wadi, Emily stopped at a junction. 3 paths. Left curved south, back toward the compound. Center continued northeast, toward the exfil point 7 clicks distant. Right bent north into narrower terrain. She had seconds to decide. The dogs would follow her scent into the wadi. Once in this confined space, they'd close distance fast. She couldn't outrun them, not for 7 clicks. She needed to make a choice no sniper wanted to make. She needed to give them something. Emily shrugged off her pack, 60 pounds of gear, rations, water, medical kit, ammunition, everything that made her operational, everything that carried her scent. She pulled out one item, her emergency beacon. Then she heaved the pack down the center path and took the right fork. The pack tumbled 20 meters before wedging between rocks. It sat there like a monument to bad decisions. But it was saturated with her scent. 9 hours of sweat, days of contact. The dogs would hit it and stop. The handlers would call them off to investigate. It would buy her minutes, maybe. Emily ran north into the narrowing wadi. The walls closed in. 3 meters apart. 2. The sky became a ribbon overhead. Her radio crackled. "Echo 2, you just changed direction. What's your play?" "Bought time." "Heading for high ground." "Negative. High ground puts you in the open. Stay low." "Can't outrun dogs in a ditch, Jack." "You can't outrun them anywhere." He was right. Emily knew the math. Belgian Malinois, the breed most K9 units used, could sprint at 35 miles per hour. She could manage maybe 8 in this terrain while carrying the M110. The gun. Her hands tightened on the rifle. The M110 was 12 pounds empty, with scope and suppressor, 15. It was also the only thing between her and being defenseless. But it was weight, and weight was time, and time was survival. Emily stopped running. She looked at the rifle. Her fingers traced the barrel. This weapon had been with her for 2 years. 83 confirmed kills. It had never failed her. Now it was going to get her killed. She found a crevice in the wadi wall, deep, shadow dark. She wrapped the M110 in her ghillie netting and wedged it into the stone. Then she covered it with rocks. It took 40 seconds. 40 seconds she didn't have. But when she started running again, she was lighter, faster, and completely unarmed. The wadi opened into a bowl of shattered limestone. Boulders the size of cars lay scattered like dice. Emily scrambled up the largest, using cracks for handholds. The top gave her elevation, 5 meters above the wadi floor. She could see her back trail now, and she could see them. 4 dogs, Belgian Malinois, tan coats, black muzzles. They moved like liquid muscle through the wadi. Behind them, 8 handlers in mismatched tactical gear. They carried AK pattern rifles. No radios visible. This wasn't military, this was contract work, hunters for hire. The lead dog hit the junction where Emily had dumped her pack. Its head snapped down. The baying turned frantic. The handler called a command. The dogs circled the pack, nose working overtime. The other 3 dogs kept coming, straight toward Emily's actual trail. "Jack," she whispered. The diversion failed. "What?" 3 dogs didn't stop. "They're still tracking." Static. Then, "That's not normal behavior. Canines should investigate a saturated scent source." Well, these didn't get the memo. Through the heat shimmer, Emily watched the 3 dogs reach the point where she turned north. They didn't hesitate, didn't check the center path where her pack lay. They turned right, following her. One of the handlers, the older man she'd seen in the compound, stood at the junction. He wasn't watching the dogs. He was watching the terrain ahead. Like he knew where she'd go. Like he'd done this before. "Jack, I think we've got a problem bigger than dogs." "Explain." "The handler. He's not following them. He's predicting." A long pause. Then Jack's voice quieter. "You're saying he's hunting you?" "Yeah." "Then you need to stop running like prey." Emily's jaw clenched. Jack was right. She'd been running on instinct. Flee, evade, survive. But that's what prey did. And prey got caught. Snipers weren't prey. Snipers were apex. She looked around the boulder field. Rock, shadow, elevation. A dozen positions she could use. If she still had her rifle. But she didn't. What she had was a knife, a sidearm, and the knowledge that 3 attack dogs were 200 meters away and closing. Echo 2, exfil bird is wheels up in 22 minutes. Rendezvous point is 6 clicks northeast. Can you make it? Emily did the math. 6 clicks. Rough terrain. Dogs on her scent. "No," she said. "Then what's the play?" She watched the 3 dogs enter the narrow section of Wadi. Watched them move with purpose. Trained, controlled, expensive. Someone had invested a lot of money into catching her, which meant she was worth more than a sniper. She was bait for something bigger. "Jack, who knows I'm out here?" "What?" "My mission. Who has the intel?" "That's need to know, Carter. I need to know if someone sold me out." Silence on the radio. Too long. "Jack?" His voice came back different, tight. "Stay alive. I'm working on something." The radio went dead. Emily stared at the handset, then at the 3 dogs, now 100 meters away, then at the sky, where no exfil bird would come. She understood now. The shot had been bait, but not for the dogs, for her. Emily climbed down from the boulder. Running was done. If Jack was right, if this was a setup, then exfil was compromised. The 22-minute clock was theater. She was on her own. The 3 dogs entered the boulder field. Their handler followed at 50 meters, rifle up, scanning. He moved well, former military. Emily clocked his patterns. He checked corners, cleared angles, never stood in fatal funnels. This wasn't some border guard playing soldier. This was a professional. Emily pressed herself into the shadow of a split boulder. The gap was 30 centimeters wide, barely enough for her frame. She controlled her breathing, slow, shallow. Her hand found her sidearm, a Sig Sauer M18, 15 rounds, enough to kill 3 dogs and 1 man. If she was fast, if she was perfect, if sound didn't bring the other 5 handlers running. The lead dog rounded the boulder. It stopped, head up, nostrils flaring. It had her scent. Close, very close. The dog turned its head slowly, left, right. Then it looked directly at the gap where Emily hid. Locked eyes. The dog's lips peeled back. No bark, just a low growl that vibrated through stone. Emily's finger moved to the trigger. The dog lunged. She fired 3 times. Suppressed rounds, still loud in the enclosed space, but not the crack of unsuppressed fire. The first shot hit the dog's chest. The second, its shoulder. The third, its skull. It dropped 2 meters from her position. The other 2 dogs erupted in barking. Frantic, angry. The handler shouted commands in Arabic. The dogs went silent. but they were coming. Emily broke from the gap and ran. No stealth now, just speed. She vaulted a low boulder, slid down scree, hit the waddy floor in a spray of dust. Behind her, the handler barked orders. The two remaining dogs gave chase. They were faster. Emily sprinted 50 meters before the wadi bent sharply left. She took the turn hard, boots skidding. Ahead, the wadi narrowed to a meter-wide slot canyon. She dove into it. The walls closed around her. Limestone pressed her shoulders. She had to turn sideways to move. Behind her, the dogs reached the entrance. Too wide to follow. They barked, furious, denied their prey. The handler's voice called them back. Emily kept moving through the slot. 20 meters, 30. Her pack scraped stone. Her breath came in gasps. Then the slot opened. She emerged into a small amphitheater of rock. Circular, 30 meters across. Walls rose 15 meters on all sides. Only one exit. The slot she'd just come through. Emily turned in a slow circle. She'd just run into a kill box. The amphitheater was silent, except for her breathing. Emily pressed her back against the wall and scanned the rim above. No movement, no contacts, but they were coming. She'd killed one dog, 2 remained. 5 handlers in the wadi plus the older man, the professional. He'd hang back, let the dogs flush her, let his team close the net. Standard hunter tactics. Her radio crackled, Jack's voice urgent. Echo 2, I've got your beacon. You're stationary. Why? Terrain funneled me. You need to move. Now. I'm seeing thermal signatures converging on your position. How many? 7, plus the dogs. Emily's pulse hammered. 7. They'd brought more than she'd counted. Jack, I need extraction. Working on it, but the bird's 20 minutes out and you're in a canyon. No LZ. Then I'm trapped. No, you're a sniper. Think like one. Emily closed her eyes, forced her breathing to slow. Jack was right. Snipers didn't panic. They calculated. She had 1 sidearm, 14 rounds left, 1 knife, 1 emergency beacon, 0 cover in the amphitheater, 1 exit point that would become a fatal funnel the moment she tried to leave. The enemy had 7 men, 2 dogs, automatic weapons, high ground. The math didn't work, unless she changed the equation. Emily looked up at the rim again. 15 meters. Climbable. Barely. The limestone was fractured, offering holds. If she could reach the top before they arrived. A sound stopped her. Not barking, breathing. Heavy. Controlled. She spun. The professional stood at the slot canyon entrance. He'd moved in complete silence. His rifle was slung. Hands empty. He was older than she'd thought. 65 maybe. Gray beard. Dark eyes. He wore a chest rig with no plates. Light kit. Built for speed, not combat. He smiled. Emily Carter, he said in perfect English. American accent. Midwest. You're better than the last one. Her sidearm came up. Don't move. He didn't. Just stood there. Relaxed. The last one panicked. Wasted ammunition. Made it easy. Last one? 3rd American sniper in 6 months. You all fall for the same trap. He gestured to the amphitheater. This place, natural kill box. You ran straight here, just like they did. Emily's blood went cold. This wasn't about her mission. This was about hunting snipers. Who are you? She demanded. Does it matter? He tilted his head. You're going to die here, same as the others. The dogs will corner you. My men will take you alive, and then we'll trade you for something more valuable than your life. I'll shoot you first. You could try, but that brings my team running, and you've only got 14 rounds. He smiled. I counted your shots. Her finger tightened on the trigger. He raised a hand. Wait, I want to offer you something. I'm not interested. You haven't heard it yet. He took a step forward. Work for me. You're talented. Wasted on a government that compromised your mission. They told us you'd be here, Emily. Your own command sold you out. The words hit like bullets. Liar. Am I? He pulled a sat phone from his pocket, showed her the screen, encrypted messages, coordinates, timing, her coordinates, her timing. Think about it, he said. Join us, or die like the others. Emily's hands shook. Jack's silence on the radio suddenly made sense. The too easy target, the perfect setup. Someone had betrayed her, but there was no time to process. Behind the professional, shadows moved. The two dogs, four handlers, closing in. The professional stepped aside. Your choice, sniper. Make it fast. Emily looked at the gun in her hand, at the rim 15 meters above, at the only exit blocked by 7 men and 2 dogs. She made her choice. Tell your bosses, she said. I'm not prey. Then she ran straight at the professional and fired. Emily's first round took the professional in the shoulder. Not a kill shot, she needed him blocking the entrance. His body spun with the impact. He crashed into the slot canyon wall. The dogs lunged. Emily fired twice more. The first Malinois dropped mid-leap, skull shattered. The second veered left, training overriding instinct. It circled looking for an angle. Behind it, the 4 handlers raised weapons. Emily was already moving. She sprinted right toward the amphitheater wall. Bullets sparked off limestone where she'd been standing. The remaining dog charged. She pivoted, fired point blank into its open mouth. The animal collapsed in a heap of fur and blood. 9 rounds left. The handlers poured into the amphitheater. They spread into a tactical formation. 2 left, 2 right. Professional movements. They'd done this before. Emily reached the wall and jumped. Her fingers found the first handhold. She pulled herself up. Boots scrabbling for purchase. A burst of automatic fire stitched the rock beside her head. Limestone chips cut her cheek. She climbed faster. 3 meters up. 4. Her arm screamed. The sidearm in her right hand threw off her balance. She couldn't holster it, couldn't spare the second it would take. Another burst, this one closer. A round punched through her pant leg, missing flesh by centimeters. 5 meters. A handler moved directly below her. He tilted his rifle up. Emily looked down and fired 3 times. The man crumpled. 6 rounds left. The other 3 handlers scattered for cover. They shouted in Arabic, coordinating. One broke right, sprinting for a better angle. Emily's left hand found a sharp outcrop. She pulled. Her right boot slipped. For a heartbeat, she hung by one hand, 15 feet above stone that would shatter bone. Her boot found purchase. She kept climbing. 10 meters now. The rim was close, so close. Below, the professional had regained his feet. His left arm hung useless, blood soaking his shirt, but he was smiling. You're just making it interesting, he called up. Emily didn't waste breath responding. 12 meters, 13. Her hand reached over the rim. She pulled herself up, rolled onto flat ground, and sprinted. She was on top of the ridge now. Open desert stretched in every direction. No cover, no concealment, but she was out of the kill box. Behind her, shouts echoed from the amphitheater. The handlers would climb, or they'd circle to find an easier path up. Either way, the chase was back on. Emily ran northeast, toward the exfil point 6 kilometers away, toward the bird that might not come, toward a command structure that might have betrayed her. Her radio crackled. Emily, Jack's voice, strained, different than before. You're alive. No thanks to you. She kept running, words coming between breaths. You want to explain why that man had my coordinates? Silence. Jack? It's complicated. Make it simple. Not over open comms, just get to the LZ, we'll extract you. Why should I believe you? Because I'm the only friend you have left. The connection died. Emily stopped running. Her lungs burned. Sweat stung the cuts on her face. She looked back at the ridge. No pursuers yet, but they were coming. She checked her sidearm. 6 rounds. Checked her beacon. Still transmitting. Broadcasting her location to anyone listening, including whoever had sold her out. Emily stared at the device. Then she hurled it as far as she could. It arced through the air and disappeared into a crevasse. If they wanted to find her now, they'd have to do it the old-fashioned way, by following her blood. Emily pressed her hand against her side and it came away red. She hadn't felt it in the amphitheater. Adrenaline had smothered the pain. But now, 2 clicks from the ridge, her body was sending bills for the sprint, the climb, the gunfight. One of those bullets hadn't missed. She found shelter in the shadow of a collapsed stone tower, some ancient structure half buried by centuries of sand. Her hands shook as she pulled up her shirt. The wound was a groove along her left ribcage, not deep. The bullet had carved a channel through skin and fat, but hadn't penetrated the muscle wall. Lucky, but it was bleeding. Emily shrugged off her tactical vest. From an internal pocket, she pulled her individual first aid kit, the IFAK that every soldier carried and prayed they'd never use. Gauze, pressure bandage, quick clot powder. She dumped the powder into the wound. The pain hit like voltage. She bit down on her sleeve to keep from screaming. The powder fizzed and bubbled, chemically cauterizing tissue. 15 seconds of agony, then it subsided to a dull throb. She wrapped the pressure bandage tight around her torso, not hospital quality, but enough to keep her functional, enough to keep running. Emily leaned back against the stone and closed her eyes. Her body wanted to shut down, wanted sleep, but sleep meant death. She forced herself to assess. Ammunition, 6 rounds. Water, none. She dumped her pack. Food, none. Medical, used. Communications, unreliable, possibly compromised. Location, 4 clicks from exfil. Open terrain, no cover. Enemy, 7 personnel, well-trained, well-equipped. And they knew where she was going. The exfil point. If command was compromised, they'd be waiting at the LZ. If Jack was telling the truth, the bird would land in 18 minutes. If he was lying, she'd walk into an ambush. Emily opened her eyes. The sun was higher now, full morning heat building. In 2 hours, this desert would be an oven. Without water, she had maybe 6 hours before dehydration degraded her performance. After that, the desert would kill her faster than bullets. She needed to move. But which direction? Northeast to the LZ was the obvious choice, also the most dangerous. If the professionals team had vehicles, and they probably did, they'd beat her there. Set up. Wait. But going anywhere else meant dying slowly in the desert. So the choice was quick death by ambush or slow death by sun. Emily laughed. Bitter, dry, some choice. Her hand went to her vest, checking pockets by habit. She dumped the pack but kept essential items on her person. Compass, signal mirror, lighter, paracord, and 1 magazine for the M110 she no longer carried. 7 rounds of 7.62 millimeter, useless without the rifle. Except, Emily pulled out the magazine, turned it over in her hands. The rounds gleamed copper and brass, precision ammunition, expensive, and full of gunpowder. An idea formed, desperate, stupid, but she was out of good options. Emily worked quickly. From her vest, she pulled the paracord, 30 feet of 550-pound test line. She unraveled it, separating the inner strands. Nylon fibers, strong, flexible. Next, the magazine. She extracted 3 rounds. Using her knife, she carefully pried the bullets from the casings. Gunpowder spilled into her palm. She poured it into an empty, quick clot packet, creating a makeshift explosive charge. The lighter provided ignition. The paracord became a tripwire. It took 12 minutes to set the trap. Emily strung the wire across a natural choke point, a narrow gap between 2 boulders where the terrain funneled movement. The explosive charge sat hidden beneath a flat rock. When the wire pulled, the lighter's spark wheel would strike. Fire would hit powder. It wouldn't kill anyone, but it would surprise them. And surprise created opportunity. Emily moved 50 meters west and found a position with good sightlines to the trap. She settled into a prone shooting stance. No rifle this time, just the sidearm. Effective range maybe 50 meters. The trap was at 40, close enough. She waited. The sun climbed higher. Heat shimmered off stone. Her wound throbbed. Thirst began to claw at her throat. 10 minutes passed. Then she heard them. Voices. Arabic. Two men, moving fast but not recklessly. They appeared around a ridge, handlers from the amphitheater. Both carried AK-pattern rifles. Both looked tired. They entered the choke point. The taller one stopped. He pointed at something on the ground. A boot print. Emily's boot print. He knelt to examine it. His partner moved forward. The tripwire caught his ankle. The explosion was small, more flash and bang than force. But in the desert silence, it sounded like artillery. Both men flinched. The kneeling one threw himself flat. The standing one stumbled backward. Emily fired. Her first round took the standing man in the chest, center mass. He dropped. The second round hit the kneeling man as he tried to rise. Shoulder hit. He spun and went down. 4 rounds left. Emily didn't move from position. She watched the kneeling man through the sidearm sights. He was still alive, trying to reach his rifle with his good arm. She let him. He got his hand on the weapon, started to swing it toward her position. She fired again. Headshot. 3 rounds left. The desert went silent. Emily counted to 60. No additional contacts. The 2 handlers had been scouts, moving ahead of the main element, which meant the others were close behind. She low-crawled backward from her position. Slow, deliberate, leaving as little trace as possible. When she was 200 meters clear, she stood and ran. Northeast, toward the exfil point, toward the trap or the rescue, whichever came first. The radio crackled at 11:34 hours. Emily had been running for 40 minutes. Her legs felt like concrete. The wound in her side had reopened. She could feel wet heat spreading under the bandage, but she kept moving. Echo 2, this is Overwatch Actual. Jack's voice, tight, urgent. She almost didn't answer, but the need to know overpowered caution. She keyed her throat mic. Go. What's your position? 2 clicks from LZ, maybe less. You need to stop moving. Emily's stride faltered. Explain. The exfil's compromised. They're at the landing zone. 5 contacts, dug in, waiting. How do you know? Because I'm looking at them. A pause. I've got a Raven drone overhead. Been tracking the situation. A drone, which meant Jack had resources, which meant he wasn't just running comms from an FOB. Where are you really, Jack? Silence. Then, closer than you think. Emily stopped moving. She scanned the horizon. Empty desert in every direction. What's going on? This operation wasn't what we told you. The HVT, Al Nasser, he was bait. We knew they were hunting snipers. We needed to identify the network. You used me. I used the situation. His voice hardened. And you're still alive, which is more than the last 2 operators. The professional mentioned them. Myers and Rodriguez, good shooters. They didn't make it out. You will. How? By trusting me one more time. Emily laughed, dark, bitter. Trust, that's rich. I know you're angry. Angry? Her voice rose. You dangled me like bait, set me up to be hunted by dogs. Let me think my own command sold me out. And now you want trust? Yes. The single word hung in the air. Why? Emily demanded. Because I'm the only reason you're not already dead. Jack's voice softened. The moment you killed that first dog, I started moving assets. The drone, a reaction force. Even the exfil bird. It's real, Emily. It's coming. But we have to get you to a different LZ. Where? 3 clicks west. an old Soviet airstrip from the 80s. Cracked asphalt, but flyable. Emily checked her bearing. 3 clicks west was the opposite direction from her current heading. It meant more time in the open, more exposure. What about the professional and his team? Drone shows them converging on the original LZ. They think you're heading there. Because my beacon was transmitting that course. Exactly. You throwing it away was smart, bought us time. Emily closed her eyes. Every instinct screamed not to trust him, but every tactical assessment said she had no other choice. If you're lying, I'm not. If you're lying, she continued, I'll survive just to come kill you myself. Fair. She could hear the smile in his voice. Now move, west, fast. You've got 30 minutes before that bird has to leave. The radio went silent. Emily turned west and started running. By minute 20, Emily's vision started to blur. Dehydration, heat exhaustion, blood loss, the trinity of desert death. She'd been operational for 14 hours, 9 hours static in the sniper hide, 5 hours running and fighting. No food, no water, 1 gunshot wound. Her body was shutting down. She stumbled, caught herself, kept moving. The landscape swam. Rock formations doubled, tripled. She blinked hard. The world snapped back into focus. For a moment, then it began to drift again. Her radio crackled. Jack's voice sounded distant, underwater. Echo 2, status. She tried to respond. Her tongue was thick, dry. The words came out slurred. Still moving. You're half a click from the strip. Keep. The transmission broke into static. Emily looked up. Ahead, shimmering in the heat, she saw it. A scar of gray cutting through the desert. The airstrip. Or a hallucination. She'd heard stories. Desert mirages. Soldiers walking toward water that didn't exist. Dying steps from salvation they'd imagined. But she kept walking toward it anyway. Because what else was there? The gray scar grew more solid. Real. Cracked asphalt. Weeds pushing through fissures. Definitely Soviet era. Definitely abandoned. Definitely real. Emily stepped onto the strip. Her boots crunched on broken pavement. She turned in a slow circle. No bird, no reaction force, no Jack, just her, alone in the desert. Jack, her voice barely worked. I'm here. Static. She sank to her knees. The asphalt was hot enough to burn through her pants. She didn't care. Maybe she'd lied about the trust after all. Maybe Jack had lied about everything. Maybe this was just another way to die. Her head tilted back. The sky was obscenely blue, cloudless, vast. She thought about her instructors at Benning, the ones who'd said she had the gift. Some gift. The gift of dying alone in Syria. The gift of being bait. The gift of... A sound cut through her thoughts. Rotor wash. Emily's eyes snapped open. She forced her head up. There, low on the western horizon, a black dot growing larger. Helicopter. Her hand went to her vest, found the signal mirror. She angled it toward the sun, flashed 3 times. The international signal for distress. The helicopter adjusted course, heading straight for her. It was real. Emily tried to stand. Her legs buckled. She went down hard on the asphalt. The helicopter grew larger. A UH-60 Blackhawk, American markings. It flared for landing 50 meters from her position. Dust and debris exploded outward. Emily shielded her face. The bird touched down. Side door opened. A figure jumped out. Tactical gear, rifle, running toward her. Emily's hand found her sidearm. 3 rounds left. If this was another trap, the figure reached her, dropped to one knee. Carter, it's me. Jack Donovan, 62 years old, gray beard, hard eyes. The man who'd been her spotter, her handler, her betrayer, her savior. He looked at her wound, at her dehydrated state, at the sidearm trembling in her hand. You look like hell, he said. You look old, he smiled. Let's get you out of here. Jack reached for her. Emily pulled back. Not until you explain. On the bird, come on. Now. They stared at each other. The helicopter's rotors screamed. Every second on the ground was risk. Jack sighed. You were bait, but not disposable bait. We needed to draw out the network. You did. We've got drone footage of the professional, his team, their vehicles, everything we need to roll them up. The other snipers weren't as good as you. His voice softened. I'm sorry about the deception, but we got what we needed, and you're alive. Barely. Barely counts. He extended his hand again. Now will you please get on the goddamn helicopter before someone shoots us? Emily looked at his hand, at his face, at the Black Hawk waiting to take her away from this place. She took his hand. Jack pulled her to her feet, supported her weight. They moved together toward the bird. Halfway there, Emily stopped. What? Jack asked. She pointed east. They're coming. On the horizon, dust plumes, vehicles. 3, no, 4, moving fast toward the airstrip. The professionals team. Move! Jack shouted. They ran, or tried. Emily's legs barely functioned. Jack half carried her the last 20 meters. The crew chief reached down, grabbed Emily's vest, hauled her into the bird. Jack jumped in after. Go! He yelled to the pilot. Go now! The helicopter lifted. The ground dropped away. Through the open door, Emily watched the vehicles reach the airstrip. They skidded to a stop. Figures emerged, rifles raised, muzzle flashes. Rounds sparked off the helicopter's armor. Then they were out of range, climbing, banking west. Emily collapsed against the bulkhead. A medic moved toward her, started checking her wounds. She barely felt it. Her eyes found Jack. He sat across from her, headset on, coordinating with the pilots. He looked over, met her gaze, nodded once. She nodded back. They had an understanding now. She'd been used, but she'd survived. And that would have to be enough. The Black Hawk flew low and fast, hugging the terrain. Emily sat on the deck, an IV in her arm, while the medic worked on her side wound. The pain had retreated behind a curtain of morphine. Everything felt distant, soft. Jack sat beside her, headset around his neck. How long did you know? Emily asked. Her words came slow, chemical thick. Know what? That I was bait. He was quiet for a long time. The helicopter's rotors filled the silence. 4 days before your insertion, he finally said. Command brought me in. Told me about Myers and Rodriguez. Told me they needed someone better. And you suggested me. I suggested 3 people. You were the best. Best at getting hunted? Best at surviving. He looked at her. I meant what I said back there. The other 2 didn't make it. You did. Emily's head lolled against the bulkhead. I killed the dogs. Yes. I killed 3 men. Yes. I ran for my life through a desert. Yes. And you watched it all happen. Jack's jaw tightened. From a drone feed, 1,000 feet up, completely unable to help until the exfil window opened. You could have told me. If you'd known, you would have acted differently. The professional would have sensed it. The mission required genuine reaction. Emily closed her eyes. That's a fancy way of saying you lied. It's an accurate way of saying I did my job. Your job was to protect me. My job, Jack said quietly, was to break a network that's killed 8 American operators in 6 months. You helped me do that, at considerable personal cost, for which I'm sorry. The morphine was pulling her under. Emily fought it, forced her eyes open. The professional, she said. He had my coordinates, my timing. He said command sold me out. He lied. We fed him that information through a cutout, made it look like a breach. He took the bait, same as you. But he knew about the other snipers. Because he killed them. Jack leaned forward. His name is Viktor Sokolov, former Spetsnaz, went private after Chechnya, specializes in counter-sniper operations. He's been selling his services to whoever pays, cartels, militants, warlords. For the past year, he's been in Syria, hunting our people. You knew this before you sent me? We suspected, now we know. He gestured out the door. That drone overhead? It's got facial recognition, thermal mapping. We track Sokolov and his entire team. 4 hours from now, a reaction force is going to hit every location we identified. This time tomorrow, that network is gone. Emily stared at him. Was it worth it? 8 dead operators say yes. That's not what I asked. Jack met her eyes. I can't answer that for you, Emily. Only you can decide if what you went through was worth stopping Sokolov. And if I say no, then I respect that, and I write it in my after-action report, and maybe next time Command chooses a different approach. Next time, Emily laughed, bitter. There's always a next time. In our line of work? Jack nodded. Yeah, there is. The helicopter banked hard. Emily's stomach rolled. The medic tightened the IV line. Where are we going? She asked. Al-Assad Air Base, 40 minutes out. There's a surgical team waiting. They'll clean up that wound properly, get you stable. And then? And then you get debriefed. Medal probably. Commendation definitely. Maybe some time off. I don't want a medal. I know. Jack's voice was gentle. But you're getting one anyway. That's how this works. Emily closed her eyes again. The morphine was winning. She could feel herself drifting. Jack? Yeah? The professional, Sokolov, when he looked at me in that amphitheater, her words slurred, he smiled like he knew something I didn't. What do you think he knew? That I'd run straight into his trap, that I'd do exactly what the others did. She forced her eyes open one more time. He was right. I did run. I did panic. I barely made it out. Jack shook his head. No, you fought. You adapted. You turned his trap against him. He tapped the helicopter's deck. The others didn't make it to this bird, Emily. You did. That's not luck. That's skill. It's survival. Sometimes that's the same thing. Emily wanted to argue, but the drugs pulled her down into darkness. Her last thought before unconsciousness was of Sokolov's smile, and the certainty that she'd see it again. Emily woke in white sheets, hospital room, American standards, the beep of monitors. Fluorescent lights turned low. Her side was numb. She lifted the sheet, fresh bandages, surgical grade. Someone had cleaned her up while she was under. You were out for 8 hours. She turned her head. Jack sat in a chair by the window. Same tactical gear, same tired eyes. You been here the whole time? She asked. Most of it. Stepped out for the debrief, came back. Emily pushed herself up. Her head swam but stayed functional. The IV was gone. In its place, a saline lock. What's the damage? She asked. 15 stitches, mild dehydration, moderate heat exhaustion, nothing permanent. Jack leaned forward. You'll be back on a rotation in 6 weeks if you want. If I want? That's what I said. Emily swung her legs over the side of the bed. Her feet touched cold tile. The room tilted slightly but steadied. Where's my gear? Secured. Everything except the M110. We'll send a team back for it once the area's clear. Her rifle, still wedged in that wadi crevice, waiting. And Sokolov? Jack's expression darkened. He's gone. Define gone. Gone as in disappeared. The reaction force hit his positions 2 hours ago. Found vehicles, equipment, blood from the wound you gave him. But no Sokolov. No team. Emily's hands clenched the sheets. He ran. Or he was extracted. We're still piecing it together. You said you had drones, thermals. We did, and they tracked him to a village 12 clicks south. Then the signature vanished. Underground tunnel, maybe. Shielded vehicle. Could be a dozen things. So he's still out there. Jack nodded slowly. Yeah, he is. Emily stood, her legs held. She walked to the window. Outside, the airbase sprawled under harsh floodlights. Rows of vehicles, troops moving in organized patterns. The machinery of war turning its gears. He'll come after me, she said. Probably. Because I'm unfinished business. Because you're the one who got away. Jack stood and joined her at the window. Myers and Rodriguez didn't hurt him, didn't slow him down. You killed 2 of his dogs, killed 3 of his handlers, put a bullet in his shoulder. That's not something a man like Sokolov forgets. Good. Jack glanced at her. Good? Yeah. Emily's reflection in the glass was gaunt, hollow-eyed, changed. Because I'm not forgetting him either. They stood in silence. Outside, a C-130 rumbled down the runway, lifting off into the night. Command wants to pull you, Jack said after a while. Rotate you stateside. Desk work for a few months while this blows over. I don't want desk work. I know. I told them you'd say that. What did they say? That it's not optional. You're too high profile now. Sokolov knows your face, your tactics. He'll be looking for you. Emily turned from the window. Let him look. Emily, I'm not hiding, Jack. That's not who I am. You're also not suicidal. Going back into the field with Sokolov hunting you is suicide. Then what do you suggest? Jack was quiet for a long moment, then, what if you hunted him instead? Emily blinked. Explain. Sokolov's pattern is reactive. He waits for operators to get deployed. Then he tracks them, studies them, sets his traps. But what if we reversed it? What if we put you out there as bait, real bait this time, with full support, and used you to draw him in? You want to do this again? Not the same, better, controlled, with a full team backing you. And what makes you think he'd fall for it? Jack smiled grimly. Because you hurt him. And men like Sokolov don't leave debts unpaid. You're not just another target to him now. You're personal. Emily walked back to the bed, sat down. Her hands were steady, her mind was clear. When? She asked. 4 weeks, maybe 6. Time for you to heal. Time for us to build the operation properly. And if I say no? Then you go stateside, take the desk. Wait for Sokolov to find you anyway, because he will, but without backup, without support. Emily lay back on the bed, stared at the ceiling tiles. She thought about the amphitheater, the dogs, the running. She thought about Sokolov's smile. 4 weeks, she said, not 6. Emily, 4 weeks, Jack, or I go rogue and hunt him myself. He studied her face, saw the decision there, immovable. 4 weeks, he agreed, but you train, you prep, you don't go in half-ready. Deal. Jack moved to the door, stopped with his hand on the handle. Emily? Yeah? For what it's worth, I'm sorry, about all of it. She looked at him, at the man who'd used her, saved her, asked her to do it again. I know, she said, but sorry doesn't change what happened. It just means you'll do better next time. Will I? You better, because next time, I'm not running. Jack nodded. Get some rest. Doctor says you can move to regular quarters tomorrow. He left. Emily lay in the dark. The monitors beeped. The air conditioning hummed. Somewhere in the Syrian desert, Viktor Sokolov was bandaging his shoulder, planning his next move, thinking about the sniper who'd hurt him. Emily closed her eyes. Let him think. Let him plan. 4 weeks from now, she'd be ready. And this time, she'd be the one smiling. 3 weeks and 4 days later, Emily stood in the Nevada desert at 0400 hours. The training facility was unmarked. No signs, no designation, just razor wire and hard-eyed contractors who asked no questions. Jack had called it preparation. Emily called it hell. Again! The instructor, call sign Raven, former Delta, current Ghost, pointed at the obstacle course. "Your time's slipping." Emily was already moving. The course was designed to simulate Sokolov's terrain: rock formations, narrow passages, unexpected elevation changes. She'd run it 43 times in the past week. Her side wound protested every movement. The stitches had come out 5 days ago, but the tissue was still tender. Too bad. She vaulted a low wall, crawled under wire, sprinted through a simulated wadi. Her boots found purchase on stone, muscle memory taking over. At the end of the course, a target waited, man-sized, 600 meters. Her rifle, a replacement M110 identical to the one waiting in Syria, was already set up. She dropped into position, acquired the target through the scope, breathed. The world narrowed, squeezed. The round flew true, center mass hit. 4 minutes, 18 seconds, Raven called. "Still too slow." Emily stood. Sweat soaked her shirt despite the pre-dawn cold. "Sokolov won't wait for me to catch my breath," she said. "No, he'll shoot you while you're gasping." Raven walked over. "Which is why we run it again. Until your body remembers, even when your brain's shutting down." They ran it 17 more times that day. The classroom sessions were worse than the physical training. Emily sat in a windowless room watching drone footage, hours of it. Sokolov's movements, his patterns, his team dynamics. "Notice here," Jack narrated, pointing at the screen, "he never enters a structure first, always sends his number 2. That's Viktor Petrov, former FSB, Sokolov's childhood friend. They've worked together for 15 years. The footage showed a bearded man in his 50s entering a building. 3 seconds later, Sokolov followed. Petrov's the weak point," Jack continued. "He's loyal but predictable. We get to Petrov, we get to Sokolov." Emily leaned forward. "Where is Petrov now?" "Unknown. They scattered after your encounter. But we've got signals intelligence suggesting they're reforming. Probably in Yemen, possibly Libya. Best guess? Yemen. There's a warlord named al-Hashimi who's been asking for counter-sniper support. We think Sokolov's negotiating a contract." Emily memorized the face on the screen. Viktor Petrov, late 50s, scar across his left eyebrow, wedding ring on his right hand. Human, killable. "When do we move?" she asked. "When you're ready." "I'm ready now." Jack paused the footage, turned to face her. "Are you? Because 4 weeks ago you were running for your life. 3 weeks ago you were in a hospital bed. I need to know you're operational, not just functional, operational." Emily stood, walked to the screen, stared at Sokolov's frozen image. "I'm operational," she said, "and I'm done running." The mission brief came on day 26. Emily sat in the operations center with Jack and 4 other team members. Call signs only. Raven, Bishop, Knight, Castle. All contractors, all former Tier 1, all expendable, legally speaking. Jack pulled up a satellite image. "This is Marib, Yemen. Population 30,000, controlled by al-Hashimi's militia. Intel confirms Sokolov arrived 3 days ago. He's setting up another sniper trap." "Target?" Emily asked. "British SAS team operating in the area. They don't know Sokolov's there. We do. So we warn them and lose our shot at Sokolov." Jack zoomed in on a compound. "Here's the play. The SAS team runs their mission. Sokolov springs his trap, but we're already in position. We spring ours." Bishop, a lean woman with a Johannesburg accent, frowned. "You're using the Brits as bait. Same as Sokolov used al-Nasser." Jack met Emily's eyes. "Sometimes the mission requires hard choices." Emily stared at the satellite image. "The SAS team, will they survive?" "If we do our job right, yes. We take out Sokolov before he can execute. The Brits complete their mission. Everyone wins. Except the people we don't warn. Except them." The room went quiet. Emily thought about the amphitheater, about running, about being prey. She thought about Myers and Rodriguez, dead because no one had warned them. "I don't like it," she said. "Neither do I," Jack replied, "but I like the alternative less. Sokolov operates for another 6 months, kills another 8 operators. We're still playing catch-up while he's 3 moves ahead." Castle, a massive man with a Mississippi drawl, spoke up. "What's the ROE?" "Capture preferred. Kill authorized." Jack pulled up another image, Sokolov's face. "But realistically, this man won't surrender, and we're not equipped for a prolonged siege. It's a one-shot operation." "Then we better not miss," Emily said. They deployed 48 hours later. The flight into Yemen was classified. The insertion was clandestine. By the time the sun rose over Marib, Emily and her team were already dug in. She'd chosen her position carefully, a rooftop overlooking Sokolov's compound. Range, 400 meters. Wind, negligible. Sightlines, perfect. Beside her, Raven operated the observation equipment, thermal cameras, directional microphones, all the technology Emily hadn't had in Syria. "Movement," Raven whispered. "Northwest corner, 2 contacts." Emily shifted her scope. Through the magnification she saw them, Sokolov and Viktor Petrov. They stood on a balcony, drinking coffee like ordinary men. Sokolov's left arm was in a sling, the shoulder she'd shot still healing. "I've got the shot," Emily said softly. "Wait for confirmation the SAS team is clear," Jack's voice came through her earpiece. He was 3 clicks south, running Overwatch. "How long?" "Their mission window opens in 90 minutes. We move when they're clear of the kill zone." 90 minutes of watching the man who'd hunted her, who'd smiled while she ran, who'd promised she'd die like the others. Emily's finger rested outside the trigger guard, waiting. Sokolov took a sip of coffee, said something to Petrov. They both laughed. Like this was just another day. Like they hadn't killed 8 operators. Like Emily hadn't earned the right to end them right now. "Emily," Raven's voice, quiet. "Your breathing's elevated." She knew. She could feel her heart rate climbing, the anger rising. "I'm fine." "You're thinking about taking the shot." "I'm thinking about a lot of things." "Don't. We stick to the plan." Emily closed her eyes, breathed deep, let the anger drain away. When she opened them again, Sokolov was looking directly at her position. Not possible. She was concealed, hidden, professional. But he was looking, and smiling, that same smile from the amphitheater. "He knows," Emily whispered. "What?" "He knows we're here." Raven checked the thermal feed. No indication of... Sokolov raised his coffee cup, toasted toward Emily's position. Then he and Petrov turned and walked inside. "Abort!" Jack's voice crackled. "All units, abort! He's made us!" Too late. The compound erupted in movement. Doors burst open. Armed men poured out. Vehicle engines roared to life. "They're running," Raven said. Emily kept her scope on the balcony, waiting for Sokolov to reappear. He didn't. "Ground team, move in," Jack ordered. "We're not losing him again." Bishop, Knight, and Castle stormed the compound from 3 directions. Gunfire erupted, brief, controlled. Emily's radio exploded with chatter. "Ground floor clear. Second floor clear. No joy on primary target." "He's gone," Castle's voice. "There's a tunnel, leads to the street." Emily swung her scope to street level, scanned vehicles, crowds, heat signatures, nothing. "Damn it," she breathed. Raven was already packing gear. "We need to move. Local authorities will respond to the gunfire." Emily took one last look through the scope, the compound, the balcony, the empty space where Sokolov had stood, where he'd smiled at her. Next time, she promised the empty air. Then she grabbed her rifle and ran. 6 days after Yemen, Emily sat in a safe house in Djibouti, watching rain streak the windows. The team had scattered. Bishop and Knight rotated stateside. Castle took a contract in Somalia. Raven disappeared without explanation. That's what contractors did when operations went sideways. Only Jack remained. He sat across the table, tablet in hand, scrolling through intelligence reports with the grim focus of a man watching his career circle the drain. Anything? Emily asked. Sokolov's ghost. Petrov's ghost. The whole network went dark. Jack set down the tablet. It's like they evaporated. They didn't evaporate, they're hiding. Effectively the same thing if we can't find them. Emily stood and walked to the window. Outside, the rain turned the compound's dirt courtyard into mud. Local guards huddled under an awning, smoking cigarettes and laughing about something. Normal life. While she sat in a box waiting for a ghost. Command wants to shut it down, Jack said quietly. The operation? All of it. The task force, the funding. They're calling it a failed experiment. Emily turned. Failed? We identified Sokolov. We tracked his network. We let him slip through our fingers, twice. Jack's voice was flat. Myers and Rodriguez are still dead. The British SAS team we used as bait? 3 wounded when Sokolov's trap went off before we could stop it. Command's position is that we've created more problems than we've solved. So they give up. They reallocate resources to missions with better success metrics. Better metrics, Emily laughed bitterly. How do you quantify stopping a man who hunts snipers for sport? You can't, which is why they're pulling the plug. Jack stood. I'm sorry, Emily, I really am, but it's over. No. It's not a discussion. I said no, Emily's voice was steel. Sokolov knows my face, knows my name, knows I'm hunting him. You think he's going to forget that? You think he's going to let me rotate stateside and live a quiet life? Jack was silent. He'll come for me, Emily continued. Maybe not this month, maybe not this year, but he'll come. And when he does, I'd rather it be on my terms. What are you proposing? Emily walked back to the table, picked up the tablet, scrolled through the intelligence herself. Sokolov's last known locations, his patterns, his associates. You said Petrov's the weak link. I said he's predictable. That's different than weak. But he has patterns, habits. Emily zoomed in on a photo. Petrov at a cafe in Istanbul, dated 4 months ago. He has a life outside of Sokolov, a wife, kids probably. He's not a ghost like Viktor. He's just a soldier who went private. We already tried tracking Petrov's family. They're clean, no contact in 6 months. Because they know they're being watched. Emily set down the tablet. So we stop watching. We make Petrov think it's safe. Jack frowned. You want to set a trap. I want to create an opportunity. Pull surveillance. Leak information suggesting the task force is shut down. Make it look like we've moved on. And if Petrov doesn't bite? Then I go back to the States and wait for Sokolov to find me anyway. At least this way I'm trying. Jack studied her face. You know this is probably career suicide. If it goes wrong, there's no backup, no official support. Just you and whatever I can scrape together off the books. I know. And you're okay with that? Emily thought about the amphitheater, the dogs, the running, the fear. She thought about Sokolov's smile. I'm more than okay with it, she said. I'm counting on it. 2 weeks later, the first reports hit intelligence channels. Subject, Task Force Cerberus, status update, classification, secret, no foreign. Effective immediately, all operations related to subject Viktor Sokolov are suspended pending resource reallocation. Primary operator, Carter E., reassigned to CONUS duties. Handler, Donovan J., retired from active tasking. Assessment, target proven too difficult to track with current capabilities. Recommend passive monitoring only. The report was intentionally sloppy. Bureaucratic language that screamed, we failed and we're moving on. It hit the right desks, got filed in the right databases. Databases that Emily knew, from 3 years of signals intelligence work, were compromised by at least 4 foreign services. If Sokolov had anyone watching, they'd see it, and they'd believe it, because everyone loves to believe their enemy has given up. Emily watched from a 4th-floor apartment in Istanbul's Beyoğlu district. The cafe across the street was unremarkable. Local place, strong coffee, decent pastries. The kind of spot a man might visit if he wanted to feel normal for an hour. Viktor Petrov's wife owned it. Emily had been watching for 9 days. Nothing. The wife worked. Customers came and went. Life continued. But on day 10, a man in a gray jacket entered at 13:40 hours. He sat in the corner, ordered coffee, didn't touch his phone. Emily lifted binoculars, studied his face. Not Petrov, but she recognized him from the Syria drone footage, one of Sokolov's team, a spotter named Mikhail. Her pulse quickened. "Jack," she whispered into her throat mic, "we've got a probe." Jack was 2 blocks south in a rental car. "Confirm identity. Mikhail Kozlov, Sokolov's number 3. He's running counter-surveillance." "How long's he been there?" Emily checked her watch. 12 minutes. He's watching the street, checking for tails. And? No indicators he's made us. 15 minutes later, Mikhail left. He walked north, took 2 turns, and disappeared into the metro. Emily didn't follow. That's what he'd expect. Instead, she waited. If Mikhail was satisfied the area was clean, someone else would come. Maybe Petrov, maybe Sokolov himself. 2 hours passed. Then at 16:20, a taxi stopped outside the cafe. Viktor Petrov stepped out. He was older than his photos. Gray had taken over his beard. He moved stiffly, old injuries talking. But it was him. Emily's hand found her sidearm. Not to use, just to touch, to remember she had options. Petrov entered the cafe. Through the window, Emily watched him embrace his wife. They sat, talked. She brought him coffee he probably didn't drink. A man visiting his wife. Nothing operational about it, but Emily knew better. "He's here," she told Jack. "Petrov?" "Confirmed. Ground floor, northeast corner table." "Any indication of Sokolov?" Emily scanned the street. No obvious security, no lookouts. "Negative. Petrov looks alone." "He's not. Sokolov wouldn't let him wander Istanbul unprotected." "Then where's the protection?" "Close. Watching. Same as us." Jack paused. "This is the play, Emily. We take Petrov now. We get leverage. Maybe trade him for information. Maybe use him to draw out Viktor." Emily's finger traced the grip of her sidearm. "Or we wait, see if Sokolov shows." "That's a gamble. The whole thing's a gamble." They watched in silence. Minutes accumulated. Petrov finished his coffee, kissed his wife, stood to leave. "Decision time," Jack said. Emily tracked Petrov through the binoculars as he exited the cafe. He turned right, started walking north. Alone. Vulnerable. "I'm taking him," Emily said. She was already moving. Out of the apartment, down the stairs, into the street. Petrov was half a block ahead, moving at a leisurely pace. A man with nowhere urgent to be. Emily closed the distance. 30 meters. 20. Her hands slipped into her jacket, found the sidearm. 10 meters. Petrov turned into an alley. Emily followed. The alley was narrow. Service entrance to a restaurant on one side, dumpsters on the other. Petrov walked halfway down and stopped. He didn't turn around. "I was wondering when you would make your move," he said in English, Russian accent, calm. Emily's weapon came up. "Hands where I can see them." Petrov raised his hands slowly. "You are Carter, the sniper from Syria. Turn around." He did. His face showed no fear, just mild interest. "Viktor said you would come. He is rarely wrong about such things." "Where is he?" "Close, watching. Same as your friend in the car 2 blocks south." Petrov smiled. "Did you think we would not notice the surveillance? The fake reports? It was, how do you say, transparent. Emily's jaw clenched. Get on your knees. Why? So you can execute me in an alley? That is not your style. You are sniper. You kill from distance. He lowered his hand slightly. Up close, you hesitate. Test that theory. Perhaps I will. Movement behind her. Emily spun. A figure blocked the alley entrance. Tall, gray beard, left arm in a sling. Sokolov. Hello again, Emily, he said. Emily's weapon swung between them. Petrov behind, Sokolov ahead. Both too far for a guaranteed kill. Both close enough to rush her. Jack, she said quietly. I've got both targets, but I'm boxed. Static. Then Jack's voice, tight. On my way, 30 seconds. I don't have 30 seconds. Sokolov took a step forward. Your friend cannot help you. My men have already engaged him. Nothing lethal. We are not savages, but he will be delayed. You're bluffing. Am I? Sokolov tilted his head. Check your radio. Emily keyed her mic. Jack, sit rep. No response. Jack. Nothing. Sokolov smiled. You see, you are alone. Same as Syria. Same as always. This is your pattern, Emily. You operate alone. Trust no one. It makes you vulnerable. It makes me unpredictable. It makes you isolated. He gestured to Petrov. Viktor and I, we have worked together for 15 years. We know each other's movements, thoughts. We are a unit. You? You are a single point of failure. Emily's mind raced. The alley was 3 meters wide, dumpster to her left, wall to her right. If she tried to run past Sokolov, Petrov would tackle her from behind. If she turned to shoot Petrov, Sokolov would close the distance. She needed a third option. What do you want? She asked. The same thing I have always wanted. To hunt the best. Sokolov's eyes gleamed. You are good, Emily. Better than Myers. Better than Rodriguez. You survived Syria, escaped Yemen. Most impressive. But surviving is not the same as winning. This isn't a game. Of course it is. The oldest game. Predator and prey. Hunter and hunted. I have made a career of it. 11 operators before you, all dead. You are number 12. But you, he paused, you are special. You hurt me, killed my dogs, my men. No one has done that before. So this is revenge. No, this is professional respect. He spread his hands. I am offering you a choice. Work for me. Use your skills for someone who appreciates them. Or die in this alley, unmourned, forgotten. Emily laughed, sharp, harsh. You think I'd work for you? Why not? Your government used you as bait. Your handler lied to you. Your command abandoned the operation. What loyalty do you owe them? More than I'd owe you? A pity. Sokolov's hand moved toward his jacket. Emily fired. The round hit Sokolov's right shoulder. The same shoulder she'd shot before. He spun with the impact, dropped to one knee. Petrov rushed forward. Emily pivoted, fired twice. Both rounds hit center mass. Petrov stumbled, fell. She ran. Towards Sokolov. Past him. Out of the alley. Behind her, Sokolov's voice. You cannot run forever. But Emily wasn't running. She was relocating. Emily sprinted 3 blocks before ducking into a textile shop. The owner shouted in Turkish. She ignored him, moved through the store, out the back entrance, into a maze of connecting courtyards. Her radio crackled. Emily, Jack's voice, strained. I'm hit. Nothing serious, but I can't get to you. Where are you? 2 blocks south, pinned by 3 of Sokolov's men. Can you exfil? Negative. They're waiting for you to break cover. They think you'll come help me. Emily stopped running, pressed her back against a wall. Her breathing was heavy but controlled. How many did I hit? She asked. Sokolov and Petrov, both mobile, wounded, but functional. So I didn't kill them. No, but you bought time. They'll be more cautious now. Emily checked her weapon. 10 rounds left. She'd started this operation with 15. Burned 5 on 2 targets and missed the kills. Sniper math was unforgiving. Jack, I need options. Get to the marina, 2 clicks west. There's a boat waiting. Civilian craft. Paid in cash. Captain doesn't ask questions. And you? I'll shake loose and meet you there. 30 minutes. Victor won't let me reach it. Then you better move fast. The radio went dead. Emily closed her eyes, counted to 5, let her heart rate drop. When she opened them, the world was clear again. 2 clicks to the marina, through Istanbul's old city. Narrow streets, crowds, chaos. She could use that. Emily pulled off her jacket. Underneath, she wore a dark shirt that could pass for civilian wear. She stuffed the jacket under a pile of trash. The sidearm went into her waistband, concealed. Then she stepped into the street and became a tourist. She made it 4 blocks before they found her. A man in a leather jacket, one of Sokolov's team from the Syria footage. He spotted her across the street. Their eyes met. He reached for his radio. Emily turned and walked faster. Not running, that would draw attention, just moving with purpose through the crowd. The man followed. She took a turn, then another. The streets narrowed. Vendors sold carpets and spices. The smell was overwhelming. Behind her, footsteps, multiple sets. They were hurting her. Emily saw it now, the pattern. They weren't trying to catch her. They were pushing her. West, toward the marina, toward the boat Jack had arranged, toward a trap. She stopped walking. The footsteps behind her stopped too. Emily turned around. 3 men, leather jacket in the lead, 2 others flanking. They didn't draw weapons, didn't need to. The crowd would scatter at the first gunshot. Then it would be 3-on-1 in the open. Bad odds. Leather jacket smiled. The boat is not real, he said. Just so you know, there is no escape that way. I figured. Then why walk toward it? Because you think I'm walking toward it. Emily's hand moved to her waistband. But I'm actually walking toward you. She drew and fired in one motion. Leather jacket went down. The 2 others scattered. Screaming erupted from the crowd. Emily ran, not west toward the marina, south, back toward where she'd left Jack. The streets blurred. She vaulted a cart, ducked through a doorway, out into a courtyard. Her radio. Emily, what the hell are you doing? Changing the plan. Where exactly are you? Jack rattled off coordinates. Emily adjusted her course. 2 blocks. 1. She burst into a plaza. Jack was there, pinned behind a fountain. 3 of Sokolov's men had him in a crossfire. Emily didn't hesitate. She fired 3 times. Rapid, precise. 2 men dropped. The 3rd took cover. Move! She shouted. Jack ran. Emily lay down, covering fire. Her slide locked back. Empty. She dropped the magazine, reached for a spare, didn't have one. The 3rd man stepped from cover, rifle raised. Emily threw her empty sidearm at his face. He flinched. Just for a second. Jack tackled him from the side. They went down hard, struggled. The rifle clattered away. Emily grabbed it. A beat-up AK, full magazine. She leveled it at the man. Stay down. He did. Jack pulled himself up. Blood soaked his left sleeve. You came back. You sound surprised. I am. He grabbed the rifle from her. Now let's get out of here before Victor shows up. They ran together, out of the plaza, into the labyrinth of Istanbul's old city. Behind them, shouting, pursuit. But they had momentum now, and momentum was everything. They made it to a safe house in the Fatih district. 3rd floor, narrow stairs, reinforced door. Jack collapsed onto a couch. Emily locked the door and checked the windows. How bad? She asked, nodding at his arm. Through and through. I'll live. He pulled out a medical kit, started field dressing the wound. We can't stay here long. Sokolov will find this place. How? Because it's one of 3 safe houses command set up for the operation. If he's got access to our intelligence, and he clearly does, he'll check all of them. Emily moved to the window, watched the street. Normal evening traffic. Nothing suspicious. Yet. We need to flip the situation, she said. Meaning? We've been reacting, running. That's his game. We need to make it ours. Jack finished bandaging his arm. I'm listening. Sokolov wants me. Personal grudge, professional pride, whatever. Point is, I'm the target. Obviously. So we use that. We stop running. We pick the ground. Force him to come to us. That's suicide. It's tactics. Emily turned from the window. Right now he's hunting us through a city. Too many variables. Too much chaos. But if we can draw him to a location we control. Jack stood, walked to a wall map of Istanbul. Where? Emily studied the map. Her finger traced streets, neighborhoods, then stopped on a mark northwest of their position. Here, the Theodosian Walls. Ancient ruins, tourist attraction, and a defensive position that's held against armies for 1,000 years. Emily tapped the map. Stone walls, elevation, limited approaches. If we set up right, we turn it into a kill zone. For him or for us? Depends on who shoots better. Jack stared at the map, at the walls, at the woman who'd gone from prey to predator in the span of 3 weeks. You've changed, he said quietly. Syria changed me. No, this changed you. He gestured around. Getting hunted in your own operation. Realizing the system doesn't care if you live or die. That changed you. Emily met his eyes. Maybe it needed to. Maybe. Jack grabbed his gear. All right, the walls. When? Tomorrow, dawn. Before the tourists arrive. And how do we make sure Sokolov shows? Emily pulled out her phone, opened a secure messaging app, typed a message to an intelligence contact who definitely worked for someone. Message. Found sanctuary, Theodosian Walls, Northwest Tower, staying put until exfil, tired of running. She hit send. Give it 6 hours, she said. He'll see it. And if he doesn't, he will. Men like Viktor can't resist a target that stops moving. Jack nodded slowly. Get some sleep. You'll need it. But Emily didn't sleep. She sat by the window, watched the street, waited for shadows that would come. At 0320 hours, the shadows came. 4 men, moving in tactical formation. They entered the building across the street, began setting up observation. Emily smiled. Sokolov had taken the bait. She and Jack slipped out the back. By the time Sokolov's team breached the safe house, it was empty, and Emily was already at the walls. The Theodosian Walls rose against the pre-dawn sky like broken teeth. Built in the 5th century, expanded, reinforced, besieged by Huns, Avars, Arabs, and Ottomans. Still standing. Emily liked the metaphor. She'd positioned herself in the northwest tower. 3 stories of crumbling stone. Arrow slits that had protected Byzantine archers now protected her. The rifle, a proper M110 that Jack had somehow procured, was set up on a stable platform. Range card prepared, wind calculated, ammunition counted. 20 rounds, not much, but more than she'd had in Syria. Jack was 50 meters south in a supporting position. Radio connected, watching her 6. Movement, he whispered. Southeast approach, 4 contacts. Emily shifted her scope, picked up the signatures. Sokolov's team, moving carefully through the ruins, but no Sokolov. Where's Viktor? She asked. Unknown, probably hanging back, letting his team probe. Smart. Emily would do the same. The 4 men spread out, checking angles, clearing positions, professional movements. Emily tracked the lead man through her scope. Range, 350 meters, clear shot, but she didn't take it. One shot would reveal her position. 4 men could suppress while Sokolov maneuvered. She needed a better play. Jack, can you create a distraction? What kind? Noise, movement, something that pulls them west. On it. 30 seconds later, a metallic clang echoed from Jack's position, like equipment being dropped. The 4 men reacted. 2 moved toward the sound, 2 held position. Emily waited. The 2 moving men passed through an archway, bunched up. Perfect. She fired twice. Both men dropped. The other 2 scattered, shouting into radios. Emily was already relocating. Up the stairs, to the 2nd level. Different angle. Gunfire erupted. Automatic weapons raking the tower. Bullets sparked off stone. But Emily was already gone from that position. She appeared at a different arrow slit. Acquired target. Fired. 3rd man down. The 4th went to ground. Smart. Used rubble for cover. Emily couldn't see him anymore, but she could hear him. Radio chatter. Calling for backup. Calling for... Emily! Jack's voice, urgent. We've got more contacts, 8, no, 10, coming from the north. They're surrounding the tower. Her jaw clenched. Viktor's here. Confirmed. I've got him on thermal. He's directing the assault. Emily checked her ammunition. 17 rounds, 10 men outside, plus Sokolov. The math was bad. Jack, we need to thin them out. Working on it. An explosion erupted north of the tower. One of Jack's shaped charges. Screaming, confusion. Emily used the chaos. She fired on every target that broke cover. 4 rounds, 3 hits, 14 rounds left. But they kept coming. She saw the pattern now. Sokolov wasn't trying to kill her. He was trying to pin her. Keep her in the tower while he maneuvered. Classic siege tactics. Jack, I'm trapped in here. I know, I'm coming to you. Negative. Stay in position. If we both get pinned, too late, already moving. Gunfire erupted from Jack's position. He was advancing, laying down covering fire. Emily used the opportunity. She descended the tower, hit ground level, burst through a doorway. 2 of Sokolov's men were waiting. She dropped them both. Point blank, 12 rounds left. Jack appeared from the smoke. We need to move. Now. They ran together, through the ruins, over rubble, behind cover. Behind them, orders shouted in Russian. They weren't escaping, they were being herded. Again. Emily saw the trap closing. Jack, they're pushing us east. I know, toward open ground. Which means Viktor's waiting there. Probably. They stopped running, pressed against a wall, breathing hard. We can't run anymore, Emily said. No, we can't. So we turn and fight. Jack checked his rifle. Half a magazine. Not great odds. We've had worse. Emily looked at him. Syria was worse. Syria, you ran. And I'm done running. Jack smiled. Tired, grim. All right, how do you want to play this? Emily checked her sightlines. The open ground was 70 meters ahead. Beyond that, elevated position. Perfect for a sniper. Perfect for Sokolov. I'm going to draw him out, she said. When he shows, you take the shot. He'll shoot you first. Maybe, but I'll shoot back. She handed Jack her rifle. You're a better shot than me with a 7.62. Always have been. Jack took the weapon. Emily, no speeches, just don't miss. She didn't wait for argument. Emily stood, stepped into the open. The open ground was a killing field. Ancient stones, scattered rubble, no cover worth mentioning. Emily walked into the center, sidearm in hand, worthless at range but all she had. Viktor, she called, you wanted me, here I am. Silence. Then his voice, from the elevated position, exactly where she'd predicted. You are brave, Emily Carter, or foolish. I have not decided which. Does it matter? Perhaps not. He appeared, standing fully visible, rifle slung, hands empty. You know I could shoot you from here, so why don't you? Because that would be unsatisfying. He started descending, slow, careful. You have earned something more personal. Emily watched him approach. 50 meters, 40. Her hand tightened on the sidearm. Behind her, hidden in the ruins, Jack tracked Sokolov through the scope. 30 meters. You killed 6 of my men today, Sokolov said. Wounded Petrov. Again. You are becoming expensive, Emily. Send me a bill. He smiled. I offer you one more chance. Work for me. Your government has abandoned you. Your handler is bleeding in the rubble. You have nothing to return to. I have my pride. Pride does not stop bullets. 20 meters. Neither does talking, Emily said. She raised the sidearm. Sokolov moved faster than she expected. His rifle came off his shoulder. Up. Aimed. 2 shots fired simultaneously. Emily's round hit Sokolov's chest, center mass. He staggered. His round hit her left shoulder, spinning her. She went down hard. Pain exploded through her arm. Sokolov stayed on his feet. Body armor, of course. He worked the bolt, chambered another round. Emily rolled, fired again, hit his leg. He dropped to one knee, but he didn't drop the rifle. It came up, aimed at her head. Goodbye, Emily Carter, he said. A shot cracked across the ruins, but it wasn't Sokolov's rifle. It was Jack's. The 7.62 millimeter round hit Sokolov in the side of the head, above the ear, below the helmet line. Perfect shot. Sokolov dropped. The rifle clattered to stone. Emily lay on her back, breathing, bleeding, alive. Jack appeared above her. Can you move? My shoulder. I'll carry you. Come on. He pulled her up. She gasped at the pain, but her legs worked. They staggered together, away from Sokolov's body, away from the walls. Behind them, the remaining men scattered. Without their leader, they had no stomach for the fight. Emily looked back once. Sokolov lay still, eyes open, staring at nothing. The hunter had been hunted, and this time, the prey had won. The boat waiting at the marina was real. Small fishing vessel. Turkish captain who spoke no English and asked no questions when Jack pressed a roll of euros into his hand. They cast off at 0620 hours. Istanbul's skyline receded into morning haze. Emily sat below deck while a medic Jack had somehow arranged worked on her shoulder. The round had passed through clean. Muscle damage, nothing permanent. You're lucky, the medic said in accented English. I know. The other man, the one who was shot, he was not lucky. No, he wasn't. The medic finished bandaging, gave her antibiotics, pain medication, instructions she'd ignore. Then he left her alone. Jack came below an hour later. He looked worse than she felt. His left arm was properly bandaged now, but the blood loss showed in his face. Where are we going? Emily asked. Greece first, then wherever you want. Command? Inform that Sokolov is dead. Petrov critically wounded. Network dismantled. Jack sat down carefully. They're calling it a success. Are you? He was quiet for a long time. 8 operators died before we stopped him. Maybe more we don't know about. Yes, I'm calling it a success. What about the deception, using me as bait? That's in my report. Whether command acts on it, he shrugged. That's above my pay grade. Emily leaned back against the bulkhead. The boat rocked gently. She could sleep now. Probably should. But she couldn't stop seeing Sokolov's face. That last moment when he realized he'd lost. Jack? Yeah? In Syria, in the amphitheater, he said I was number 12. 12 snipers. We knew about 8. There were probably more. How many of them were bait, like me? Jack met her eyes. I don't know. But you suspect. Yes. And you'd do it again, if you had to. Yes. Emily nodded slowly. At least you're honest. It's the only thing I can give you that matters. They sat in silence. The boat's engine thrummed. Water slapped the hull. Outside, the sun climbed higher. A new day. Emily closed her eyes. For the first time in 3 weeks, she felt safe. It wouldn't last. It never did. But for now, on this boat, in this moment, the hunt was over, and she had survived. 6 weeks later, Emily stood in a cemetery in Arlington. The headstone was simple, standard military issue. S.G.T. James Myers, USARMY, 1988 to 2024. One of Sokolov's victims. One of the names Jack had mentioned. One of the reasons they'd started hunting. Emily placed a small stone on the grave. Jewish tradition. She wasn't Jewish, but it felt right. A marker that someone had visited. Someone had remembered. "Did you know him?" A voice behind her. She turned, an older woman, 50s. Myers' mother, probably. "No," Emily said, "but I know what happened to him. Syria. They told me it was quick." The woman's eyes were dry. "Cried out long ago." "Was it?" Emily thought about the amphitheater, the dogs, the running. "No, it wasn't." The woman nodded. "Thank you for not lying. I'm sorry for your loss." "Are you?" The woman studied her face. "You're military. You look like my son looked, before. Are you sorry? Or do you think it was necessary?" Emily had no answer for that. "He believed in what he was doing," the woman continued. "Protecting people, stopping bad men. He died believing that. So maybe it was necessary, maybe it wasn't. But he's still dead." "Yes, ma'am, he is." The woman touched the headstone. "Make it mean something. Whatever you're doing, make it mean something." She walked away. Emily stood alone with the dead. She thought about Myers, Rodriguez, the others whose names she didn't know. She thought about Sokolov, lying in a Turkish morgue, unmourned, unmissed. She thought about Jack, retired now, living in Montana, raising horses. And she thought about herself. Medical leave finished. New orders waiting. Another deployment. Another mission. Because that's what soldiers did. They fought. They bled. They died. And then the next ones took their place. Emily walked back to her car, started the engine. On the passenger seat, her orders. Classified. Immediate deployment. Location, redacted. Mission, counter-sniper operations. Duration, indefinite. She stared at the paper. Then she drove toward the airfield. Because Mrs. Myers was right, it had to mean something. And the only way Emily knew to make it mean something was to keep going, keep fighting, keep surviving, until the day she didn't. But that day wasn't today. Today she had a mission, and a rifle, and the memory of a man who'd smiled while hunting her, who'd learned in the end that smiles don't stop bullets. Emily drove faster. Somewhere in the world, another Sokolov was out there. Another hunt was beginning. And this time, she wouldn't be prey. She'd be the hunter from the start. The car disappeared into traffic. Behind her, Arlington's dead rested in silent rows, waiting for the next name to join them, hoping it wouldn't be Emily Carter. Not yet.